Hi, my name's Kerry Booth and I'm the Assistant Chief Exec of the Rural Services Network. We're a membership organisation representing over 100 rural local authorities across England. We also have over 200 organisations in membership delivering services in rural areas, from housing associations to health trusts. I'm here today with our Chief Executive, Graham Biggs, to talk about rural affordable housing. Graham, tell us, why do we need more rural affordable housing?
Frankly, I think that any economy, rural or urban, needs housing which is affordable to the workforce in that particular area. And by affordable, I mean affordable on the local wages relevant to that area and the predominant sectors in that area. And there immediately we come across one of the issues for rural housing, which is in terms of purchase prices. Rural areas, housing prices about £90,000 a year more than urban, and yet wages are substantially lower. And when we talk about affordable housing, we need to talk about affordability of all of the tenures. It's not just a question of people not being able to afford to buy a house on a local wage. They also, on local wages, can't afford to buy many of the government's home ownership initiatives, share ownership, or any of those things. And increasingly, rents, particularly private sector rents, are equally unaffordable. Those are the main issues.
So what is the Rural Services Network doing about the challenges of rural affordable housing?
We see rural affordable housing as integral to, indeed, I could say actually the cornerstone or the heart of all of our arguments about the sustainability of rural areas and indeed rural communities. So we currently have a campaign which we launched on the 1st of March called Revitalising Rural. Affordable housing is a massive part of that. Within that document, we have 14 separate chapters, one obviously on affordable rural housing, that makes many of the points that I referred to earlier. Fundamental to our campaign is a call on government that there needs to be a much fairer distribution of national government resources into services that are provided across the country. We're also asking for more nuanced policy. What does that mean? It means policy that is right, appropriate, and will deliver fairly in rural areas and urban. Those are the massive issues. In terms of our specific asks on affordable housing, in the Revitalising Rural campaign, we talk about a quota, so the number of homes which are delivered using government funding being specified, ring-fenced, dedicated to rural areas. We're asking for dedicated funding so that rural areas are not seen to be in competition with urban areas, because the cost of development in small rural sites is much, much more than the urban sites. We have policy asks about the planning exception sites policy, and a big issue for us is the sale of affordable housing, whether it's in council ownership or whether it's in registered social landlord housing association ownership. Both of those things are substantial, have over the years substantially reduced the number of rented accommodation in rural areas, continue to do so, and the income which is generated is not seeing them replaced. We also have some calls on the same lines around community-led housing.
What's the one most important thing that the government could do to enable affordable rural housing?
I think it is the things that we've asked for, particularly in terms of a quota, making sure that the grant rates, which are there to support affordable housing, reflect the costs of development in rural areas, whether that's the small scale of the developments or the added costs of design in sometimes very design-sensitive areas. Basic infrastructure costs like drainage and sewage and electricity all add hugely to the prices. That's one thing. But the other, I think, is to recognise that in rural areas, the overriding need is for social housing, the rented housing at prices which can be afforded by local people on local incomes. Without that, young people in particular can't stay within the area in which they've been born and brought up. That then impacts on the available workforce and the skills of the workforce, which brings me back to my very first point about this being fundamental to the economy.
Thank you.